One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.
Well, I remember back what Barbara Hedges, who was my AD at Washington, said to me at the time. She said, Gary, you're ready to be an AD, but you won't even know that you're not really ready until you sit in the chair. And so I remember going through the process, going to Laramie. Everything felt right. The president, my interactions with the president felt right. The amount of support, since it was the only four-year school in the state, expectations seemed like they met what could become reality. So it all just felt like it was a good fit. And fortunately, I'll never forget that night. It was late on a Sunday evening. The president sat down with my wife and I and said, we'd like to offer you the job, and if you're ready to say yes, we'd like to call a press conference for tomorrow. And it was both overwhelming, exciting, and a little bit scary all at the same time. I do recall a couple of situations, and I won't name the schools because that would probably put me in a bad spot with what I'm about to say. But there were a couple of jobs that I didn't get offered, and at the time I thought to myself, compared to the person who got offered the job, boy, I thought I can do a better job than that person. Now, whether that was true or not, that was my frustration, and that's what I felt. But I tried to learn from it. I went back to those either those search firms or those presidents and thanked them for the opportunity and said, what could I have done differently? And I think it was helpful to come in second a couple of times before I actually had the opportunity. Maybe it's a little bit humbling, and maybe it makes you a little bit hungrier at the same time. Well, in both cases that I recall, it was nothing. It wasn't X's and O's. In other words, they said, Gary, it was just there's nothing you could do differently. There's nothing you could have done better. It just wasn't as strong a fit as the person that we ended up hiring. So I didn't necessarily learn much from it. Although I did feel like the experience itself, I was probably less nervous when I interviewed at Wyoming than maybe I was for a couple of those opportunities earlier. But it was frustrating, and I guess what I would say to anybody who goes through it, it's okay to not be the first choice a few times. And as it turned out, I have strong faith, and so what was meant to be is what occurred, and that's when I got offered the Wyoming job. It was a great fit, and it felt just right, and the president was terrific, and it worked out being a great path to then eventually ending up at Iowa. So everything happens for a reason, and it can be frustrating in the process, but it's worked out for me real well over time.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.